Good evening. We're back with Deep Images, and we are continuing and actually concluding soon our crime series, crime films. And I'm here tonight with Rhiannon Clark, my co-host of the evening. I'm Henry Covert. So,
Mhm.
what do you have for us, Rhiannon, to wrap up this installment of crime films? I think it's
Well,
a
only
classic.
one of the most classic, yeah, classic, yeah, King of New York,
Yay.
you know, yeah, Christopher Walken, absolutely, Christopher Walken, yeah, he is one of the most most of the, um, I think he's the most imitated actor.
Yeah,
People do precious it and all
I
the rest
can't
of
do him. I've tried, but
it.
yeah.
Yeah, because he's so loved. That's why I think people
And,
imitate him all
and
the
he's
time.
so
He's
distinct.
distinctive.
His speech is just, yeah, his delivery. He's like a born performer. Because he's also a dancer and all this other. He's just a born guy who's there to perform and get your attention with his intense charisma and talent. And he seems like a
Hmm.
nice guy.
I mean, yeah, totally. I think he seems very charming. He gives off a very kind of Bowie-esque vibes in the movie. You can't take your eyes off him, sort of,
Hmm.
and his hair, like the way
Yeah,
it stands up. It's
the
it's
spiky
like a
hair.
crown.
Yeah, he loves that.
It's like
I
a
read an
crown.
interview. Yeah, he loved that. Somebody said, "What do you like most about your looks?" He said, "My hair is great, man."
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it literally stands on end like electric hair.
Because well, you tell us about it. I don't want to interject a whole lot. You want you tell the nice folks about the movie, like what it's about when you think about it,
Oh,
in case they
well,
haven't
it's
seen it.
directed by Abel Ferreira, and he did Miss 45, a revenge film.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, King of New York is about a man, a kingpin, sort of. Um, he is a gangster, a proper gangster, but he's like king of the gangsters, and he's really proud of his position in society, and he's proud of the fact that he's well connected and that he's he loves all ethnicities. He'll be shady with all ethnicities,
Well,
but
he came from. They essentially say he came from the ghetto himself.
yeah.
He hadn't come from
Oh
any
yeah.
money. He was just like the people who were working for him when he gets out of prison. All these
Frank
movies start
White.
with him getting out of prison. Frank White,
Frank White. Yeah,
iconic. Yeah,
that's it.
yes, and you're right about him embracing these all these people because he's not like a gangster who's like, now I got money because I got power, so I'm above everybody else. He's like, I'm gonna bring in all the other people who started out like me.
Hmm.
Why not?
Yeah, he's a sort of righteous criminal.
He comes across as a
He's like,
lot, his
yeah.
character, the way he acts it. I don't know, it's not exactly in the script. The character, they show his rap sheet in the beginning. The character is a few years younger than Christopher Walken really is, but he acts like a lot younger. Like he acts like he's a guy who is only slightly older than these guys who work for him. Like he can really relate to them. But anyway,
In a gang.
yeah.
Yeah, his gang. Um, it's Lawrence Fishburne is one of the head members of the gang, and OMG, his portrayal is so exciting. Not at all a Morpheus character. He's like antithesis
Yeah.
to Morpheus.
Not at
But
all a um the guy who played in Hannibal, the FBI guy. My brain went blank.
yeah.
But what's his name? Do you remember?
Um. Let me see if I can remember his name. 1 second.
Some of these favorite characters have some
Yeah.
funny names, like kind
Oh
of
yeah, Jimmy Jump.
Jimmy
Yeah,
Jump.
Jimmy Jump. That's it. But yeah, Jimmy Jump, and there's also Steve Buscemi is also one of the gang members
Yeah,
as well.
and this was before
Um,
Reservoir Dogs, so nobody knew who Steve Buscemi was, much outside of New York.
yeah, and I think Quentin Tarantino after this film, after King of New York, actually looked at this movie for a
Oh
lot of his
yeah,
movies after
this is a
because the cast
strong.
was huge.
That's just it. It had all those New York actors, and that's who he wanted for Reservoir Dogs, and of course Harvey Keitel is one too. Though he was in Bad Lieutenant too which came out like a year before or the year of Reservoir Dogs. So that was a wild era to me. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, it starts off with a sort of a uh oh, sorry, I'm having a brain freeze.
It's okay. As long as it doesn't hurt too much.
1 second.
I do that when I have
Uh,
ice cream.
Indeed. Um, doo-be-doo. Yeah, well, Lawrence Fishburne's character comes in and with the gang, and he shoots up this Mexican drug cartel,
Mm.
and he does it in a very comical way. And he makes out that the money, like there's money in a trunk, but actually it turns out to be loads of tampons, and then he shoots him dead or
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
So
that
it's
deal.
like a
Yeah.
comical scene.
Yes.
So you kind of enjoy these characters, like they're funny. Do you know what I mean?
That
They
was a
make you,
strong influence on Tarantino. That scene
yeah, that,
alone was a strong.
yeah, beautiful. Um, but yeah, so after like they shoot up the place or whatever, then Frank White comes in and he does his little sort of um his sort of Christopher Walken dance moves in front of them, and he's like sort of jostling with the gang, and you can see that they're all. It's sort of like socially, he's like, I've got
Yeah,
moves, I've
they have
got
that little
grooves,
chant
I'm
where they
in.
all like hey, 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 and they all come together
Yeah,
and he's like dancing.
yeah,
And I like there's a
classic
line
movie.
then there where after it's all jolly, then he turns to Jimmy and he's like, I want to ask you a question, Jimmy. How come you never came to see me up there? He's like, hey Frank, I want to see you in a cage, man.
Oh, that's so sweet. It's
I
so
know.
sweet. Yeah, like makes these criminals so lovable. I
I
love
know.
movies like that. You just,
And they're
you
so
know,
violent. But
they are. But yeah, and
they're
the
better than
thing
the
is,
other criminals. I mean, they're better
yeah,
than. I mean, since he's been gone, the shitty gangs have taken over and made things really bad for the neighborhoods. That's the way I remember it, anyway.
oh yeah, and so I think Frank White knows that he's going to die and that he's not like he's always going to be a criminal. So if I'm going to be a criminal, I'm going to go out and leave a legacy. So he wants to um like all of these sort of criminal activities with this drug money or whatever he wants to put all that drug money into a children's hospital or whatever.
Yes, he wants to
So
redeem himself publicly, I guess.
yeah,
Kind of like
yeah, but
Kingpin
I
does
think
in
he there,
Daredevil.
yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, it's all good, but I think he genuinely knows he's going to go out and he wants to go out in a blaze of glory. He's a king. He doesn't want to go out quiet. So if I'm going to go out, I'm going to do something good or get some money for a good cause or whatever before I
Because
die.
those kids probably otherwise would grow up like him and Jimmy Jump did.
Hmm.
You know.
That's true. Indeed. Yeah. Um, there's a cop in the movie, Irish guy, uh, Caruso. Is his
One
name
of the
again?
most loathsome
Uh,
characters I've
David
ever seen him
Caruso.
play. Oh my god, he's horrible in my
You didn't like,
opinion.
you hated him in it. You
No,
hated him in it.
he's just yeah. I think you're supposed to hate him. I mean,
Yeah.
he fucks with his friends. He makes fun of them. He says inappropriate shit to everybody. He's got no social skill. But he does have that bond. He does have a bond with a couple of the other cops. That cop bond.
Yeah.
You know who plays one in particular. That's some other big person who. Well, what they weren't big then.
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, Blade.
Wesley Snipes.
It's Blade, man, the only Blade.
Yeah.
Now he's
Yeah.
good in it.
Playing it. Yeah. Hmm.
I don't think his character's likable either, but I think his acting makes him more sympathetic than Caruso's. That's just how I read it, but your mileage may vary.
Right. Well, I don't know. I just I felt like he played a very authentic Irish guy. Do you know what I mean? An Irish
He
cop.
did, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
He's just out of
That's
touch
what I
with
liked.
he's out of touch with the streets. He's just out he's just because he's a cop. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't want to get it. And I'm
No,
happy
but
that
he wants to bring Christopher Walken's character down. He wants to bring Frank White down
yeah,
again.
but I don't think his reasons are anything really to right. I mean, he thinks they're wonderful, but I don't really think it's altruism. I think it's like a cop. He's power. We're gonna knock the bad guys out, and I'm gonna get all this fame and success and attention. Uh, Snipes is a little bit more serious than he is, a little bit more less careless than Caruso. I mean, they're both very violent. They're as violent as Frank's gang. You know, they're
Oh yeah,
mirrors. And we see both their
they are.
lifestyles. So
That's true in their own way. That's very valid. Very true.
somebody might think
It's
Caruso and Snipes are the heroes. I think they're the villains. That's just me. That's just me in this one movie. The way my sympathies lie, not because the criminals
yeah,
are criminals, but because of the class divide between these people.
yeah.
That's what I think is. You can relate to Jimmy Jump when he goes, to get some chicken, and he's like, "Come on, give me 100 pieces or whatever." He takes out his Uzi, and David Caruso, all
Mhm.
he does is walk around that guy's wedding, and go, "Yeah, man." I mean, he is Irish, but that's also all American behavior, like machismo.
Oh yeah,
Male. It's very male power bond, and I don't like that. The gang's not like
yeah.
that. I
No,
mean,
I get that.
they talk trash to each
No,
other, but they're all interesting. They're all different races, different.
they're groovy and they can draw, they can
Right,
dance, and they look like they're having a great time. I mean,
right.
that's one of the really exciting parts of the movie is that the sort of derelict buildings or the buildings that they're
Oh,
doing their
absolutely.
deals in, and just the lighting and everything, and
Oh, yeah.
the breasts all out, all the ladies' breasts out, and everybody's just free and loose and stuff. So you know what I mean? You're like, whatever they're doing, I'd rather live with them than hang out with the cops. You do get that impression. You know what I mean? That they're living a way more
I do think
exciting
Ferreira is
lifestyle.
sliding it that way, but I do think he is at least developing Caruso and Snipes enough so that if you do have sympathy with them, well, if you do, it's even more tragic for you than it is if you have sympathies with Frank.
Yeah.
But I'll let you get into that.
Uh, it's all good. I think what is it? Wesley Snipes and Victor Victor Argo.
He's the only
Uh,
decent cop, the older guy.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I all I know is that basically when Christopher Walken's gang shoot up Chinatown,
Mm.
that's when it's on. That's when
That's
it's
that
on.
is an
That's when you
amazing
think about
scene
like
where
Victor.
Jimmy's leaning
It's
out of the
beautiful.
car with an Uzi and everyone's running.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean it's a
I liked the
stunning
Chinese
shot.
gang too. I thought they were cool.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
but
it's
that
a
was what.
it's a
Yeah,
turf war. I guess for everyone
yeah,
call it that.
that's it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I just um I think that New York gives in this movie. I think that the movie, like the actual scenery of New York, and I love every movie shot in New York.
Yeah, me
I
too. The
literally,
old New York. Yeah.
I really,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. You
Me
know,
too.
um,
70s and
yeah,
80s. I
there's
really love it.
totally, absolutely. Um, there's a movie called I think is it O or something shot in New York as
Do you know what it's about?
well. That's for another time or whatever. Well, there's this sort of like monster, sort of like a dinosaur living
No, no, you mean
like
Q.
in like the one of the
It's Q.
Q. Sorry, not O
He
Q.
lit
Sorry,
he lives
different
in the
letter.
Chrysler
Oh,
building.
Q. Yeah,
When I went to New York for the first time,
that's
I
it.
was like
And
walking out
yes,
with my
the
girl, and
dinosaur.
New York is much smaller and more compacted than Charlotte or say Los Angeles. So I mean, you can kind of see everything in New York once you go strolling around. I mean, like I was in Greenwich Village, and I was like, "Hey, we need to go to the Hudson River." I've read about it in all these stories, and my girlfriend's like, "Look, we're on the top floor." She's like, "Look out the window, it's right there." And I'm like, "Is that the whole pier for the Hudson River?" She said, "Yeah, that's it." In Charlotte, the pier would be like a fucking fortress. New York, it's like, and it's cool. Everything's easy to get to on foot. That's why everything's up. They're building up instead of out. And yeah, the Chrysler building is
I went to New York when I
cool.
was 19. I went
Oh
and I
wow.
was absolutely enthralled. I was enthralled.
You probably went
Yeah.
around the
So
same era I did. I started going in 2006, 2005, and I went about 5 times over 3 years.
mhm,
And wow,
yeah.
and drove through it much later, but that's still been a while. How long did you stay there?
I went for a week in New York and a week in New Jersey, so I got
Okay.
to see the different vibes,
I
whatever.
always stayed with my girlfriend, so I always stayed a week, just to make the most out of, having to, the plane fare. And she lived in the Greenwich Village, the East Side, and most of the places that I'd ever been interested in, I went to or saw, except the Empire State Building. I stood next to it, and then I
Hmm.
looked up and I started to get that dizzy feeling, and then she was like, "We'll come back and see it," and we didn't. But other than that, but I couldn't stop talking about Q. Q's a great movie too. Yeah, that's
Good film.
hilarious that
The
you
main
mentioned
actor from that film is
David
incredible. I
Carradine.
can't remember his name.
David Carradine.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
amazing
he
actor.
is.
Yeah,
That's one we should cover sometime under science fiction because it's definitely a quirky.
it's very strange. I love strange movies like
But the
that. Yeah.
title means two
Yeah.
things. Q is
Okay.
Quetzalcoatl, the actual creature, and Q is also Quinn, the down look on the luck guy, played by Michael Moriarty.
Oh, that's the guy. I mean, I love Michael Moriarty.
Oh yeah,
I think he's a really
fantastic.
interesting actor.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and that he should have been even bigger than he was, even. You
he
know,
got kind of
like
big
you
when he
said.
was on that TV series like Homicide or one of those kind of shows, but never. Yeah, right. He deserved more. So getting we're already in New York, so we don't have to get back to New York. But the King of New
Hmm.
York.
The King of New York. Well, yeah. Basically, there ends up being a shootout between uh, Lawrence Fishburne's character and Wesley Snipes. So the cops are basically duking it out, and it's a really amazing duke out between them or whatever. And in the end, I think Wesley Snipes' character gets shot by Lawrence Fishburne, and then David Caruso's character kills Lawrence Fishburne, and then it's like uh, because Christopher Walken's character is so loyal and loves his
Yeah, you know
gang.
where it's
He's
going
like,
there.
yeah, you're gonna get it.
He
You're gonna
crossed the
get it.
Caruso crossed the last line there.
Yeah, and that's when Christopher Walken's character Frank White just snaps,
Can you tell us
and
about
he's
that
just like,
scene? I think that's an incredible scene.
I I can't. You go. Why don't you tell us? Because I think I have a feeling that you're going to actually be able to articulate it better
Well,
than me
it's
right
in a
now. But
funeral. They're at a
like,
funeral, so it's a funeral
yeah,
for Wesley Snipes' character, and all
yeah.
these cops are here. You can just drive around until get to wherever. So this black limo with tinted windows just drives around, and he just
Oh yeah.
drives by, and I can't remember if he's in a car. I think he's in a car. He's getting ready to leave or something, and it's Caruso, and then the window comes down,
Hmm.
and Malkin has a shotgun,
Brazen.
and he says, "Hey,
Yeah,
fuck face!" He just blows him away, and then he keeps driving,
that's it.
and no one
Hmm.
follows him at first. I mean, it's like just like some of the what just happened.
Yeah, they were in shock. Absolutely, it's so
It is.
brazen, as
Oh
they
my
say.
god, it's just powerful
Yeah,
shit, man.
absolutely. But yeah, I'm not gonna go to the end or whatever. I'm not
That's
gonna
cool.
say what happened or whatever. But I
Okay.
just feel that like it's a very fantastic, beautifully shot movie. It's an
Yes.
absolute classic, and I would encourage anybody to watch it. There's a very sexy scene in a subway as well.
Yeah,
Frank
I
White
forgot the
has
name of
a
that actress. See, that's when he's trying to get the money to
yeah.
do the that's why he's trying to get the money to do the orphanage. He starts kind of hanging out in these richer spots, and his lawyer, he hires a very rich lawyer, but him and the lawyer also kind of, they do it in public.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
not all the way.
Janet Julian is the actress's
Yeah,
name, and
okay.
her
Yeah,
name is
yeah.
Jennifer. But I don't know how famous she is, but she's stunning in the movie. And like Christopher Walken, absolutely. There's a scene on the subway when he comes into town, and he's literally feeling up his lady on the subway, and a gang comes in to rob them. And actually, one of them is Mercutio, the guy from Oz. The guy who plays Mercutio
Oh,
is uh,
okay. I didn't know
or
that.
the guy from Oz. and he's very young in it.
Yeah.
So he comes one of the in the gang and basically throws he they throw a wad of money. Tank White throws a wad of money at them. Says you can take this wad of money. It's kind of like a power move to
Work
say
for
that
me.
I'm the king of New York. Work for me, he says. And if you want a real job or whatever, and because he actually feels for
He's
them,
so
he's like, "You're
smooth
so
though,
desperate."
because they're
Yeah,
probably going to try to like knife him or something and rape the woman or take their money.
totally.
And all he does is open his jacket and there's a 9 millimeter. It just and they go
Hmm.
like that. And they think, oh God, we better run or he's gonna kill us, But then he's like, no, don't run. Work for me.
Work for me,
Smart,
indeed. Yeah,
very smart move.
very smart, indeed.
There's one
You,
other thing. Actor I
yeah,
wanted to. His role is kind of minor, but he pops out as Giancarlo Esposito, and of course I mentioned him because not only I like him and I know a lot about him, but he's super huge right now. He plays the villain
oh
in
yeah.
almost every giant franchise in the world right now. I mean, he's getting ready to be in the MCU. He was the villain in the Mandalorian. He was the villain in Breaking Bad. He's, he's the Boys. He was the villain. He's everywhere. He's just got that
Hmm.
presence now. He's changed. He has aged well, but he looks totally different now than he did in King of New York. But I first saw him on a soap opera Guiding Light in 1980 when he was young and clean shaven, and he looked totally different then. But that's how I knew his name. And so when I started watching these kind of movies, these New York kind of indie movies, I was like, oh man, that's the guy from, okay, good. I'm glad he's still acting. But I had no idea he would become this big character actor, this big heavy, you know, um, because their Captain America trailer, they recut it and they put him in it like all over the place more than he's actually probably in the movie proportionately because they're like he's so
Hmm.
popular. They're like Giancarlo Esposito's a badass, we're gonna sell this movie. But I love him. He's good in that movie too. I don't like the scene where he goes to give Jimmy Frank's note to the really sleazy mob guy and the guy urinates on him. That was a bit
Mm,
much. That was a bit much.
yeah,
And the guy was like an
yeah.
extreme racist. It's like,
Yeah, but that's the thing. I actually appreciate that, and as horrible as it is, but it's certain eras of movies where people, at certain times in history, when people were actually genuinely racist. If you're, as I said, if you're going to do a movie set at a certain time, you want
though it was
it to be
authentic.
authentic.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, it was
sure a lot of
authentic. I
Italian.
don't condone racism.
No, no,
I
no.
don't
But
condone it, but
it's just like
you know,
Spike Lee do the right thing. I mean, obviously Spike Lee is saying, hey, a lot of Italian people, especially criminal oriented, hate black people. And but then when the movie came out, he got flack, and they're like, you're anti-Italian American, you're anti-Italian, and he's like, no, I'm just showing what I saw in the streets. I don't know what to tell you, man.
yeah, yeah. No, it's just reflecting a reality. That's all it is, really.
Yeah.
That, and especially if you're making movies, that's what you're doing. You're storytelling, and you're, you know, I don't know. I respect authenticity as
With
it
that,
regards different times in history.
absolutely. And with,
People aren't it like,
go ahead.
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to, as you pointed out, with so many different ethnicities of characters, that mob guy, he is the only overt racist in the movie. So he stands out as this
Mhm.
just loathsome figure, that
Yeah,
Walken's gonna, take care of.
yeah. Well, and then you actually enjoy it because
Yeah,
you're like, good.
you're like you called
Sometimes it's okay.
you called my friend an N word and peed on him. You're dead.
Yeah, yeah, you deserve what's coming to you. And that, I think there's a payout like in that. There's sort of like a catharsis in it, in some of these movies about that sort of,
Hmm.
you know, how people feel about these things. And
I agree.
some little facts, that Donald Trump actually gave permission for them to shoot in his plaza at the start of the movie. So the drug
I did
cartel
not
is
know
in a
that.
Donald Trump plaza.
I could see that, but I didn't know that. Okay.
So this is wild. And also, Sylvia Berlusconi also put money into this movie.
This is
So it
the
was like,
Italian
kind of,
politician.
yes, he put money into that movie too.
He
So
hustles.
like, it's
Abel hustles everybody to stay indie. You know who? Okay, The Addiction with Christopher Walken and Lily Taylor. Have you seen that one? The vampire
no,
movie.
No.
Okay, it's a
Okay, I'd love to.
black and white vampire movie set in New York.
I love vampire.
It was about 10 years after King of New York. So it's Christopher Walken, Annabelle Sciorra as the supporting character, but the main character is Lily Taylor. And one of the producers was Anthony Blinken. Anthony Blinken is our Secretary of State who is trying to genocide Palestinians. And he helped
Oh
produce
my God.
an Abel Ferrara movie. I love it. It's so weird, but I separate the art from the artist. I mean, I always knew Abel Ferrara was a hustler. I mean, he started in porn. You know, I mean, that's why a lot of these crime movies are so authentic. I mean, he's lived a lot of
Mm.
this stuff, you know,
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Yeah.
and he has a lot of that bad boy. Even as he got older, he has a lot of that bad boy aura, and some women do love that, and some women even who are very strong women. Because I found out that a movie that Chris wanted to review, New Rose Hotel by Ferrara, that was one of Ossie Argento's kind of breakthrough movies in America, and of course, I'm figuring something like maybe in real life she's having sex with Willem Dafoe, but no, she started having an affair with Abel Ferrara, and that's
Yeah.
also
I mean,
around,
you see, the thing is, yeah, that's
yeah,
the thing.
and
Women do like the bad boy, but at the same time, you know,
but
that's
he liked
for
her
another
too
time.
because she is a very sexually powerful person. She puts that out there. She puts out there like, yeah, you
Mm.
can lust after me, but don't fuck with me. And that's why during that period there was that tragedy that happened to her. She got raped by Harvey Weinstein during that
Oh
exact
no.
same period because Harvey Weinstein was all over that scene, and he did a lot of good, distributing a lot of great movies, but he was a sick fuck.
Yeah,
Let's
well,
just say it.
it's widely documented.
It
Yeah,
is. He's
yeah,
in prison. Thank God. Thank the gods.
yeah.
Any final thoughts on
Hmm.
King of New York?
Um, it's an absolute classic. Everyone should watch it. Everyone should see it. It's just should be on everyone's movie watch list if they haven't seen it already. Um, Christopher Walken is incredible. He eats up the screen. All of the characters do, and I love Steve Buscemi. Just his little character that he plays. Just it's nice
Mhm.
to see everybody, all of the beautiful actors, young before they go off to make loads of other movies or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
it's a great commentary on crime and how people like you know what I mean, because you really feel for the criminals or whatever, and that you can understand like the way Christopher Walken's character Frank White feels for people in his position or whatever. So he brings a lot of empathy to people that you might not otherwise be empathetic towards,
Oh, it's
but
also
at
funny
the
and it's
same
fun
time,
and it's kind of
yeah.
gratifying. Well, if you're a
Mm.
person like me, I guess it's kind of gratifying to see the fact that he does that stuff and he just frustrates the hell out of the authorities. They just are so just I can't get this guy. I mean, they're
Uh,
driving him crazy, and I feel like the rebel is getting over on the man. So it's so funny, and I think that's something a lot of people enjoy.
yeah, it's kind of a Robin Hood feeling, sort of like
He is
what
like a
Robin
Robin
Hood,
Hood
steal from
character.
the rich,
Absolutely,
give to the poor.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love it too, and I know it's with those that era and that director and those New York actor scene. It's very adjacent to Bad Lieutenant, which I think you wanted to cover at one time too. So
Yeah.
then in that one he employs Harvey Keitel as his main guy. He's over the years he's his kind of alter egos have went between Keitel, Walken, and Willem Dafoe. They kind of keep moving through his movies, and then he has a whole lot of female muses, that he's used. Annabelle Sciorra is in almost all his movies. Um, but yeah, that's incredible. So tell you what, we're going to wrap up the crime tonight. Well, I mean, not all crime in the world, but we're going to wrap up talking about crime films. And we want you to come back and see us soon. We're going to have another topic. And not too far away, we're going to be getting ready for everyone's favorite holiday, everyone that should be Halloween. And we'll have a lot of goodies for you. So before we go, my wonderful co host has some wisdom to impart on you.
Please like, subscribe, and share this beautiful channel. Henry does a lot of work behind the scenes getting all of these shows ready, and we appreciate him. And to show your appreciation, why not like, subscribe, and share? And also, if you enjoy the content, and if any of the movies that we've mentioned takes your fancy, go and watch them. Enjoy. We
Absolutely.
appreciate your
Use
your
us as a resource
contribution.
if you like.
Indeed. And comment. We'd like to hear from you.
Yeah. Well said, Rian. So everybody have a good night. Thank you. Take care out there.
Desires, breathing in fire, my blaze, fueling my last days. No